everywhere. GBS.
A very good afternoon to you all. This is the Ambassador. With me, your Ambassador, Jennifer McCown. Our first story is going to come from the United States. In a dramatic shift in the 2024 presidential race, President Joe Biden announced his withdrawal from the campaign on Sunday. He's citing declining approvals rating pressure from within the Democratic Party. His race, he endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris as the party's nominee, marking a significant historic moment as she becomes the first Black president that is the presidential candidate for the major U.S. party. The announcement comes as Biden's recent debate performances have drawn disapprovals, leading to the significant backing from Harris from the top Democrats. Here is a full report.
In a shocking turn of events, President Joe Biden has announced his withdrawal from the 2024 presidential race, citing the best interest of his party and the country. In a statement dated July 21st, he stated his decision is greatly influenced by the best interest for his party, as his sole focus is fulfilling his duty as president for the remaining term. A closer look at his previous presidential debate proves the incompetency that came with his shaky performance.
Solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look.
The debate eventually sparked calls for him to step aside, leading him to endorse Vice President Kamala Harris as a Democratic nominee. Harris, who will be the first Black female presidential candidate for a major U.S. party, has in a recent tweet thanked Joe Biden for his great work as a president and has appreciated his endorsement, stating her wish is to earn and win the nomination. Former President Barack Obama praised Biden's service but stopped short of endorsing Harris or anyone else. Meanwhile, Trump, who recently launched his first campaign since a failed assassination attempt, claimed that Biden was not fit to run for president.
Keep saying he's a threat to democracy. I'm saying, what the hell did I do for democracy? Last week I took a bullet for democracy.
He declared that he took a bullet for democracy, hence challenging Biden's fitness for office.
The streets of Haiti witnessed the scene of a fierce gun battle as Kenyan police officers, part of the multinational security support mission, clashed with the armed gangs. The officers, equipped with the heavy armored vehicles, patrolled the deserted streets of Port-au-Prince in an attempt to restore peace and order in the conflict-ridden Caribbean nation. Let's get the full report.
As the convoy of armored vehicles rolled down the empty street, tensions were high. Suddenly, a gunfight erupted, sending shots ringing through the air. The Kenyan officers, alongside their Haitian counterparts, were quick to respond, taking cover and returning fire at the armed gangs who had been causing chaos in that area. Despite the intense exchange of fire, the Kenyan officers, with the support of the Haitian police, managed to gain control of the port that had been under the control of the gangs for months. The exchange of gunfights in Haiti may have been intense, but the resolve of the Kenyan officers to bring peace to the troubled nation is unwavering.
President Samia Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania has initiated a significant overhaul of her cabinet, dismissing 3 ministers and appointing new faces in a strategic reshuffle aimed at strengthening governance and administrative efficiency. The changes announced by the Chief Secretary, Ambassador Dr. Moses Kusiluka, reflected President Samia's commitment to advancing the key sectors and reinforcing Tanzania's leadership with the East African region. Let's get the full report.
The Chief Secretary, Ambassador Dr. Moses Kusiluka, announced on Sunday that President Samia Suluhu Hassan appointed Joyce Silaa as the new Minister for Information, Communication and Information Technology, succeeding Napen Nnauye, who was relieved of his duties. Deogratias Ndejobi, who previously served as Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office, focusing on labor, employment, youth and persons with disability, was appointed as Minister of Lands, Housing and Human Settlements Development. Rithiwani Kikwete assumed a new role as Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office, following his tenure as Deputy Minister of State in the President's office, overseeing public service management and good governance. Ambassador Mahmoud Kombo, formerly Tanzania's ambassador to Italy, assumes the dual role of Member of Parliament and Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, succeeding January Makamba. Furthermore, President Samia Suluhu Hassan appointed Kosato Chumi as the new Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, replacing Ambassador Mbaruk Nassor Mbaruk. Deuce Sangu rounds out the new appointments as the Deputy Minister of State in the President's office, focusing on public service management and good governance. As well, Dennis Londo has been appointed as the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, assuming direct responsibility for East African Cooperation affairs following the departure of Stephen Biabato.
The Tunisian President Kais Saied announced he will run for the re-election in October, despite concerns from the opposition that fair elections could not be held with many potential candidates imprisoned on what their lawyers called politically motivated charges. In a video message, the 66-year-old Saied declared that his candidacy for the October 6 presidential elections, stating he was answering the country's sacred call, which left him no choice but to run for the second term. Saied has ruled by the decree since suspending the parliamentary in July 2021, 2 years after his initial elections in the victory break. Here is more on the same.
Tunisian President Kais Saied, who grabbed wide-ranging powers 2 years after his 2019 election, announced on Friday he will seek a new 5-year term in an election set for October. Speaking from the southern region of Tutain, the 66-year-old stated he was answering the country's sacred call, which left him no choice but to run for a second term.
I don't belong to any political party. I am nobody's candidate. I'm independent, and that's how I plan to stay.
Several potential challengers who had announced their candidacy are either in prison or being prosecuted. In his announcement, Saied called on everyone preparing to sponsor candidates to steer off any corruption. Latifi Muraihi, the head of the opposition Republican Union Party, received an 8-month sentence earlier on Friday on the charge of vote buying and a lifetime ban on running for president.
Demonstrations erupted at Ben Gurion Airport as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu prepared for the departure into Washington, D.C. for hostages ceasefire talks. Hundreds of demonstrators were witnessed gathering, chanting, also known as liar, expressing their frustration over Netanyahu's leadership, demanding he stays in Israel to address the ongoing conflict. The protests highlighted a growing discontent in the government's handling the situation and the heightened tensions in Gaza. Here is more.
I'm leaving this morning on a very important trip to the United States at a time when Israel is fighting on 7 fronts and when there's great political uncertainty in Washington. I will address for the 4th time both houses of Congress as the Prime Minister of Israel. I will seek to anchor the bipartisan support that is so important for Israel. And I will tell my friends on both sides of the aisle that regardless who the American people choose as their next president, Israel remains America's indispensable and strong ally in the Middle East. I plan to see President Biden, whom I've known for over 40 years. This will be an opportunity to thank him for the things he did for Israel in the war and during his long and distinguished career in public service as senator, as vice president, and as president. It will also be an opportunity to discuss with him how to advance in the critical months ahead the goals that are important for both our countries. Achieving the release of all our hostages, defeating Hamas, confronting the terror axis of Iran and its proxies, and ensuring that all Israel citizens return safely to their homes in the north and in the south. In this time of war and uncertainty, it's important that Israel's enemies know that America and Israel stand together today, tomorrow, and always. Thank you.
At least 6 people were injured and several arrested on Saturday at La Rochelle, France, as riot police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse a demonstration against the use of a large-scale agricultural water reservoirs, known as the mega basins. The clashes occurred after some protesters began smashing shop windows and setting properties ablaze during the otherwise peaceful rally, which drew around 400,000 participants. Tensions have been mounting in France over the government's plan to construct the controversial plastic reservoirs, which critics argue that it benefited the industrial farms while wasting precious water resources. Here is a full report.
In La Rochelle, France, chaos erupted during a protest against large-scale agricultural reservoirs, leaving 6 injured, including 5 demonstrators and a police officer.
We're asking agro-industry to stop everything that goes against living things.
To disperse around 4,000 protesters after violence broke out, with some demonstrators smashing shop fronts and setting fires. Footage captured law enforcement in full gear, confronting the crowd, while several protesters retreated, burning trash bins. French Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin tweeted on X that a number of left-wing participants, who he termed as radical, had attacked a property and rampaged a supermarket. Hence, it is hard to see a link to the defense of the environment. Authorities arrested at least 7 individuals amid rising tensions over water scarcity and the controversial Mega Basins project, which critics argue benefits large farms at the expense of smaller producers and the environment.
That international news brings us to the end of our Ambassador GBS Global. It's been wonderful having you on board, joining us to the end. Here at the Ambassador, we continue to bring you the latest updates and the global developments as you keep it locked with us. Have been your Ambassador Jennifer Makau, and I'm looking forward to meeting you here at the Ambassador tomorrow, same time, same place at 1 p.m. I wish you all the most beautiful and a wonderful afternoon ahead. Stay safe and see you all tomorrow.